Let's get this over with. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the leaders and best. Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the champions of the West. Go Blue!
Woke up this morning, sun kissed my face. Grabbed my coffee, life's a fast-paced race. I know. I put on my shoes, but no time to waste. Headed out the door, no stress, no stress. I'm feeling good now. For my grooving sake, a brand new day just left again. Easy Monday motivation. Who knows what to do? Feels good. No time to slow it down. We keep moving to the sound. Easy Monday motivation. Live in the rhythm. It's deep in my soul. Fantastic energy got me in control. Oh, hear the beat drop. You know we won't stop. Trust the process. Climb me to the top. The top. We're in the air, so I need some more. Each step forward. Easy Monday motivation. Who knows what to do? Feels good. Feels hard to slow it down. We keep moving towards time. Easy Monday motivation. Let's break it down. Turn life around with every step we take. We touch new ground. Positive, my vibe. That's all. One drawn right. Feel the line. Easy Monday motivation. We are the so feels good. The feels good. No time to slow it down. We keep moving to the sound. Easy Monday motivation.
Johnny, you got the neck too, Johnny?
Yeah, hey, we getting it. All right, so welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Easy Monday Motivation. It is your host, E, the AOC of Scotch with E, along with the crew that make it do what it do. Every day, Johnny conversations. I got to check on Johnny, my liege. How are you doing?
I am feeling good. I'm feeling
I
good,
love
y'all.
it.
Holiday
I
season.
love it. Yeah,
Your favorite time of year, right?
I love this time of year. I love
Yeah.
this
I know.
time of year.
I'm about to get her bubbling update because I know like we got to talk about Thanksgiving and all the fun stuff and the giving because today is an episode about giving.
Yes.
And CT, my guy, my G, out there walking the beat, making things happen. I'm every time I look up, I'm seeing your face somewhere now. It's almost like, you know what I'm saying, like these CT ads. I'm like, man, the chocolate drop don't stop. What's going on, CT? How you doing?
The chocolate drop don't stop. But listen, I don't know if we need to coin that somewhere, somehow, some way. What's up, y'all? What's up? Listen, we are in the last month of the year, and I have so much to be thankful for. I mean, even as we think about Johnny, I need you to do the whole run around Thanksgiving. If we're doing it, like this was the first time in years Melanie and I have been in Columbus.
Yeah.
Y'all know where we normally at during this time, right?
Yeah, ducking me. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
See that lone tear falling from my eye right there?
It was
Sadness.
cold.
And then it became multiple tears, and then I just saw that weeping emoji. If we could pull it up, that would be my face right now. And yet, it is we're in such an amazing time of life. Mel starts a new job tomorrow. I will be in 2 weeks. It'll be a month. Haven't hit these streets, and so I think I'll give an update on after the month, maybe that third week we together, I'd be like, all right, it's been a month in. Lord God, here we go. But Thanksgiving was cool. And the reason why it was just cool is that we had to visit a bunch of places. It's been years since we went around to different places for holidays. People was in Florida with us. And so that was a little bit different, but it was cool to be able to spend some time with family and friends and just be able to fellowship. Saw grandma, spent a little time with Grandma White, went and saw my mom, saw a couple of my cousins. So it was what's up. Yeah, it was all good. It was all good. So I'm feeling good, excited for this episode right here.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm here.
Here. I got a pull on that as part of your update. So you got to see grandma.
I got to see grandma.
What did grandma say to you about all of the grandma talk that
it's funny though.
You've been talking. You got 56 episodes of talking grandma. I bet you she like, hey boy, you better stop talking.
This was Grandma White. This was Grandma White, not Grandma Holmes. So I was still off the hook. But I did see my mama. She been watching all our shows, y'all. She been watching all the episodes. And so got questions. She got things to ask about. But no, it was different grandma. And it's a blessing to have grandmothers in their 90s. The blessing of them being able to function and still be around, and we having access. And so, like Johnny said, even in the last show, shout out to all the people who have experienced loss during this season, in that you remember the love that is in the arena, in the atmosphere, and it's out there, even in the midst of some loss. And so, wrong grandma, but it's all the same. I may have to change it up next season to something that isn't necessarily just grandma, but I guess we have coined it, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we can make T-shirts and merchandise off of that. I'm just saying, we own that right there. But
I'm gonna keep it then.
I literally just wanted to tug on something else that happened this past weekend on your update, CT. Like, didn't you celebrate something again? Like, I think we talked about it in the last episode, but there's some special thing that happened on Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
For you in particular in your family. Like, you and your wife don't just break that wishbone.
No, sir.
on that day. What else do y'all do on that day?
It was 26 years in this marriage game. Me and Mrs. Thompson. Yes. It's been like, listen, this has been the most amazing, most difficult, most rewarding. You name all the words, you name all the emotions, and we are in the very best place of our lives. We're just like, this current chapter, we're like, this is a new one. It's going to be the best one. And that's just not hyperbole. It's not just words we speak, but we are putting in action the things that will allow us to best have an appreciation for. It wasn't just 26 years, but like, we are living life together and doing amazing things. And so, we went over to Eddie Merlot's for dinner, and spent way too much money. And yet the blessing always is that I got to be with her. And so whether the food was good, whether the food was great, it was the company that made the difference. So shout out to you, baby.
Congratulations, man. That's beautiful.
Hey, next time, I throw in a Scotch with E coupon for you guys, for the anniversary. I'll just throw that out there.
Congratulations. Save it when we get to 30. And then we'll make sure that the Scotch with E coupon is because you will have blown up by 30. So you got 4 years to blow up. That way the coupon, maybe I should get it now, John. Maybe I get the coupon.
You know what? I'm glad that you negotiate. I'm glad. I mean, it's a lifetime thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not the type of person to ever take back something that I'm saying that's being reported. Like, I'm not that dumb. Like, I would be like, yeah, you remember that coupon? No, I don't. But everybody does. We're about 5 minutes in. You said that. Oh, dang. Okay.
Yep.
No. That's beautiful. Congratulations to you guys. That it's always amazing to see people keep giving to each other and keep making the commitment to love, because love is a commitment, right? It's not really a feeling as much as it's a choice, and you guys continue to make that choice to love each other. So that's beautiful. All right, so Johnny, I want to get your update. How was Thanksgiving? And then I'll give my update, and then we can get to popping, because I feel like I feel like I really want to get to popping today. I ate good. So what's up, Johnny? How was your week? How was your Thanksgiving?
Listen, Thanksgiving was great. I spent some time in Dayton with Terry's family, which is, of course, my family too, but just giving context here. We had so much fun. We ate a lot, we drank a lot, we laughed a lot, and it was just a really, really good time spending time at his mother's house and just her being there with all her kids and watching the grandkids. It was so special. It's always a good time when I go there, but it was great. But it was exactly what Thanksgiving is supposed to be. It really was.
Yeah.
It was dope.
So Johnny, I just gotta ask, just so I can pull on your Thanksgiving experience. Did y'all play any games together?
We did. We played a couple games. Some things got a little heated. That the games were almost over. You know what I mean? But we kept pushing through. You know what I'm saying? We kept letting the light shine and just be grateful to be there with each other. Because it got a little heated every now and again. And I'm not gonna say that it was Terry, but maybe it was Terry that caused all of the heat. He was bringing the heat.
Shout out to Terry for bringing the heat.
Sound like Melanie. I'm just
maybe
everybody's the business out there.
Hey, look, shout out to Terry for bringing the heat.
He's bringing the heat. Yeah, his mom had to like push him one time to get them together. You know, like, hey boy, what's going on?
Oh wow. Okay. Right. Terry was riled up. Okay. He was Teddy Riley. Okay, you better watch out. Okay. Better watch out. Okay. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So I had a traditional Thanksgiving. I did not. My family commandeered Thanksgiving and gave me the ultimatum of, Eric, are you cooking Thanksgiving? I was like, well, no, because I don't have anybody living with me to cook for or anything. Like, I'm showing up to people's houses. I'm bringing my dishes to people's houses if I choose to cook. Otherwise, not. I'm just planning to show up. What's up? What y'all got going? And they negotiated to buy all the food if I cooked. And I was like, all right, that was cool. So they did, but they said they didn't want a traditional Thanksgiving. So, of course, I cooked a bunch of various things that were not traditional Thanksgiving food. We ate really good. I literally should have put them through the paces as if this was a restaurant experience, because that's exactly how it went down. The timing of it was, so you imagine you show up to a place and they're like, all right, cool, you about to go to an event, right? And they're like, oh, start that too, right? So what time you think you leaving this event, right? A good 3 hours is typically how you would see yourself enjoying yourself at an event where you eat and get a full experience. Well, they sit here and play cards and all that. Well, I just worked it like a restaurant. And the funny thing is, by the time they looked up, and they was like, oh, man, I'm full. And they was making plates to go and all this. I'm like, boom, I'm clocking. I'm like, 5 o'clock, boom. Oh, they out the door. Everybody gone. I'm chilling like Thanksgiving never happened. Everything cleaned up by 5 o'clock on Thanksgiving. So my son calling. So I had a wonderful experience and like practicing catering in that moment. So that's kind of how I used it as a vehicle to take that order, deal with everything, kind of organize the meal, make sure that I got all the stuff out at a specific time, offered the dessert at a specific time. The only thing I was missing is like the hot tea or coffee at the end that you would offer somebody to kind of complete the meal. But I'm gonna work on making sure I have all of those things next time. I did have my apple crisp syrup drinks that I did offer, so it was fun. Like, we had a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. So yes,
we need that apple crisp. We need that apple crisp syrup. I feel like we need it.
I think so.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
I'm gonna shoot through.
I got you. I got a pretty big bottle, so I got you. I got a pretty big bottle. I can pour you guys some containers, and you can use it all holiday.
Oh, yeah. Wait, not during the show. My bad. I'll catch you
not right now.
Right now. Got it.
But but the good thing about it is, in the spirit of giving, CT, I think I should now give you an opportunity to set up what we're going to talk about today and discuss that. We have a special guest that's going to come on and talk to us in his experience about some of the philanthropic, altruistic things that people are into in the vein of giving. Right. So, CT, I'm going to pass it over to you. No, I'm not going to pass it. I'm going to give it to you.
I receive your gift and grateful for the gift that you gave. and even more excited about the gift we are about to experience. Not every gift that you get do you want. Like as we've said in past episodes, Johnny, sometimes you get Mother's Day gifts and sometimes you get Father's Day gifts. I would tell you, friends, neighbors, and EMM family, this is one of those gifts that you get for Mother's Day at the top end, right? Mama had done a good job. Mama did that good job. That's what this kind of guest is coming to us right now. He hails from, no, I'm not going to do the Steve Harvey thing. This is a person who in my life I would call not just a friend but a good friend, and some people might put best in front of that. He is a confidant. He is a father. He is someone who I go to. So y'all know, I think I'm smart sometimes, but he is one of those smart people I go to when I'm feeling like I'm smart and realize I'm not as smart as I thought I was, because this person speaks life, speaks hope, speaks blessing, and today he is going to speak legacy with us in the context of giving. And so if you would put your hands, your feet, your toes together for Gerard Parchman. They call him GP. Welcome to the room, GP.
GP.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Wow, thank you for the intro. I feel honored to be amongst three people that I really think ridiculously highly of and just admire. So thank you all for the opportunity to have a conversation.
Man, I'm grateful that you
Thank you for
blocked out some
being
time.
here.
I'm gonna do a couple quick rapid fire so the room gets to know you a little bit, and then we're gonna jump into this conversation, because I do think as we've entered this new month of December and heading out of what has been a really tremendous and crazy year, which I hope we unpack a little bit in terms of the context of the year. But GP, what is your favorite holiday?
Wow. Whew. I would say my parents' anniversary.
Oh.
Yeah, my parents'
I'm not
anniversary.
gonna do it. Like normally I want to jump into the answer to the question. We're not gonna answer it yet. And he was like, well, here we go back. We'll come back to it. We'll come back. Okay, GP. What is your favorite sports team?
I'm gonna tread lightly.
Mhm.
I'll keep it safe. The Detroit Lions.
The Detroit Lions. Okay. Tell us, GP, what is your favorite food to eat?
Whew. Favorite food to eat? I would say probably Detroit style pizza. Yeah,
Detroit. Okay.
Detroit style pizza. Yeah.
GP, this show oftentimes asks this question to all of our guests who would be have the ability to answer this question, and the question is, who is your favorite child?
Uh, the one that will likely care for me when I am decrepit. That one's my favorite.
That's the
The
perfect
best.
answer.
Yeah.
Perfect answer.
Yeah.
That's the best dad answer ever.
Ever in
Y'all
life.
trying to
All right,
mess
two more
me up.
questions,
That's
two more
hilarious.
rapid fire, GP. So who is the celebrity that you have met in your life that you are most fond of and that you would want to meet and sit down and talk to again?
Celebrity. So I'm gonna nerd out for a second. I think only because I was looking at a movie based upon his life recently, and that would be Brian Stevenson. The work that he's done around combating recidivism, I think, is really interesting. And I had an opportunity to meet him maybe 8 to 10 years ago. I think it was. I can't remember specifically, but was really captivated by his story, and um, the work that he's doing is just impressive. So I'd say him.
That's it. That's it. And last question, and certainly not least of the questions that we will ask of you today, GP. When you are eating grits, what do you put on your grits?
I mean, this is the most important question you were asked today so far.
Context is important here.
So at the risk of my card, number one, it depends upon how the grits are prepared, because everyone can't prepare grits the right way.
Okay.
And if you know, you know.
Yeah.
But I keep it simple. I just do butter, probably too much butter than I should be eating. But the grits are prepared the right way. I don't need all the the extras. Just some butter, and I'm good. So
Okay.
What I want to
Man,
highlight.
that's like, hey,
I'm
nah,
looking at E right
man.
now because I'm
Man,
feeling judgment, man.
it's not judgment.
I'm feeling
It's
judgment right now.
you're no, no. So
No
I'm not
judgment.
judging you as much as I am saying that your palate right now is in question. Because
But
he asked you, is it sweet or salty? And you said buttery.
technically, I didn't get
That's
that
fine.
specific with him, and there's a reason
Well,
why
you
I did.
did. You said sugar or salt.
Let's roll the tape back. I just like
Yeah,
how you like
I
them.
don't know.
Yeah, he
And the
thinks it's
reason,
how you like
so
your
let me tell
grits.
you why I did it that way and not asking the very specific question.
He thinks it's how
The
you like
reason why I didn't ask the specific question is that hopefully you have noted that the guest that we have, GP, is going to give you an answer that isn't necessarily the basic answer. He'll give you a response, but inside of his response is nuance. That nuance is that in real people, you like, but I want to know more. There's a curiosity that comes with GP whenever you ask him something. There's something deeper. It's almost like the iceberg. Like the question that you ask him is the top part of the iceberg. And if you're
Mhm.
not careful, you will get a response that is based upon the top of the iceberg. But friends and neighbors, let me tell you, my man goes deep with the thoughts. And so I want to go back to that first question, Johnny, because I know it's burning on you
You know, I want to
about
know.
grandma. Was that, and we'll talk about grandma later in this show, but can you unpack that a little bit more, GP?
I think it
So
was the
the
anniversary.
Him
The
anniversary.
anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe your
So
favorite holiday.
yeah. So my parents have been married 55 years, and I continue to be blown away by just it's one thing when you watch two people that you admire, grow and evolve in different phases of their life. And when I think about the phase of life that they're in right now, I think we I think we sometimes throw around the word love very easily. And when I look at the two of them and just to see how this thought and E kind of referenced it a little bit earlier, I think in the dialogue, but to just see how their love has evolved, and you get a deeper understanding of what love really means when you see people that have been together that long, and they go through the conquest and the challenges together. I can't think of any, at least for me, I can't think of anything that's more celebratory than the two of them. I mean it. There isn't even a close second.
I love
So they are my fill in the blanks heroes, people that I admire, people that still intimidate me, like et
Mhm.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so that without question my favorite.
I love
You
it.
said
And it,
55 years of
yeah.
marriage?
55 years, yeah. Hmm.
Shout out to the double nickel of marriage. That is beautiful. Oh man, look,
Yeah,
I
thank
strive
you.
to have 55 years of life, let alone get
Right.
somebody to spend 55 minutes with me. So I know how that can be. So I'm just saying.
oh, GP, I love it because you're speaking right to the topic for the day. And just so that
Yeah.
we're clear, today is really about a legacy of giving. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
whether it is about, in many ways, people think about giving in the context of finances, but it is so much deeper than that. And for context, I'm gonna do what a Johnny does every once in a while. I'm gonna read something real quick to get some context for the conversation, so we can level up here. So legacy isn't just about what we leave behind. It's about how we shape the present. In this episode tonight, the goal is for us to dive into the heart of what giving really is. Giving isn't, as I just said, just something financial, but it's about how we spend and where we share our time, our wisdom, our energy in ways that uplift others and build connections. So, GP, I'd love for you in that context to be able to talk to us about. And again, I don't want to go too deep too fast, but I feel like the
Oh,
ripple of effect of your responses really is something that I think that'll help us go into deeper places. And so when you think about the concept of legacy, the term legacy, and especially in the context of giving, and especially as you just talked about your parents, what does it mean to you? How are you, even in your life, daily setting up the way that you establish legacy, whether it's to your kids, to some people you work with, etc.? Kind of give us some context.
Yeah, so that's a really thought-provoking question. So I was listening to an interview by Mary Barra recently. She's the CEO of General Motors,
Mm.
and she's done some really amazing things, particularly if you geek out in the automotive space like I do. And she said something during an interview that really resonated with me. She was asked a question that I think you hear a lot of leaders get asked, which is, tell me a little bit about your legacy and what do you want your legacy to look like? And she made the comment, which I thought was really appropriate, when she said, your legacy is really what others write about you. And I thought that was
Mm.
really thought provoking, because I think many times we think about legacy, and we tend to look inward versus recognizing that at the end of the day, the things that we do, I think, in service to others, those are the things where, I guess, if it goes right and you do it right with the right level of intent, that hopefully it results in others being moved enough where they feel compelled to write something, about you. And so for me, it's been an interesting journey, because the thing I think I've learned is, um, when the impact that you have on others, and hopefully if it leaves something that can be aligned to a legacy, it's about both your triumphs and your tribulations, and how has that been able to help, in some way, shape, or form, benefit others. And particularly as I'm getting older, particularly as I'm, approaching the 50 next year, you know, those kinds of milestones, I think, tend to cause you to, and as well as like this time of year, they tend to cause you to take a step back for a second, reassess, and think about what direction and intention are you doing in terms of your life.
Oh, that's good. That's so good, GP. Um, so I want to add, there's a couple of thoughts going through my head right now, but one of them is that when I first met you, first of all, like I was probably, I don't know, a good 12 years into my career. And you were one of the first people I met that I felt like it gave me permission to be myself, to show up in this space and truly be myself without you ever saying a word. Because when I met you, I was like, oh, he's real. He's not putting on a front. He's not being someone he's not for where we are. You from Detroit, and you could tell you were from Detroit. And I mean that with the utmost respect. You know what I mean? Like you could tell he's from the D and like wore with the badge of honor and yet could show up in these spaces. And so one, I definitely appreciate that because you are who you are without even really trying to be. So how what's the word I'm looking for? How conscious are you of that in the spaces that you are in? That like I know that I am representing something, especially when we talk about seats at the table, right? I'm representing something that often does not look like me, and I am also paving the way for other people. Like, how conscious are you of that when you step into certain spaces?
So I want to respond to that in two ways, Johnny. So one, I think about when I first met you. The thing I appreciated about you is that word unapologetic, which I
Okay.
feel like that word has been so overly used that it's diminished in terms of its impact. But that was my first impression when I met you, and the second one was she's going to be doing something that's beyond what she's doing now. Like the thing that she's doing now is enabling what it is. It's her true gift, which is ironic because I look at the three of you all the same way, which is what makes the three of you all so fascinating to me. So I would react to that, and I would say that because of how you have always operated as long as I've known you, it's made it easier for people like myself that are naturally more introverted to feel safe about being, who I am, both scars and things that are, you know, for lack of a better term, beautiful. So I'd say
Yeah.
that. To answer the other part of your question, life is kind of funny. Sometimes you get reminded who you are. So it's one of those things where,
Ooh.
it's right in front of you. Like I have a very close friend of mine who lives in Seattle, and we used to work together at a different institution. And we to this day still laugh because, I'm black and he's Asian. And the way we met was that we were walking into a room of executives that did not look like us. And we both were looking at each other like, with that whole look of one of these things is not like the other type of deal, you know. And what I appreciate about him was that um, he drew me out of my shell because, as CT alluded to, um, you know, I tend to keep my guard up a lot. And I love how eloquently he put the terms and thoughts around different, layers. Um, because to your point, this is where I guess I tie it in, Johnny, because of the different, I think, opportunities I've had, um, I've learned a lot of valuable lessons both through lecture and through lesson. And
Yeah.
as a result, it's caused me to, I guess, to one of your points, I guess, embrace where I'm from a little bit more. Just the thought
Yeah.
of a little bit of edge, a little bit of underdog. Well, I'm sorry, a lot of underdog, if I'm being honest. Um, and at the same time, and this is, I would say, this is more of a newer development for me, really embracing this notion of there's a expectation that people have of you, but some of those same people that have those expectations are not the same people that are underwriting your ability to do the things they're needed to do in life. And when
Mm,
you get to that level of realization, it puts things in perspective. And then, and I refer to this piece in conversations I have with people, because like anytime I get opportunity to shout out anything in Detroit, I do. But there's this lyric that Big Sean has in one of his songs where he talks about the distinction between a circle and a corner. And I've had to learn that there is a real difference, and that the people that are genuinely in my corner are the ones that I can um, fully be myself with. But the common denominator is that I do genuinely care about people. I'm
yep.
not perfect. I make lots of mistakes in terms of how I show up, but I just genuinely care about people.
Mm,
And I think
shines through.
that's the underlying foundation.
Yeah. And I think that shines through too. In interacting with you, you can tell that it's genuine. It's about the people and everything else kind of comes after that, right? Yeah, that's dope. E, I'm gonna hand it over to you, brother.
Okay. So, G, and again, just the conversation so far has been amazing, and learning so
Yeah.
much about you. And I would want to talk to you about some of the giving you've done in the past and some of the getting, right?
Mhm.
Because that kind of shapes us, right? Can you tell me about something, a gift or something at a time? Maybe, it's Christmas or something where you received something that was so impactful to you that it did change your perception of receiving something. I mean, that could have been a child, right? Like what is something that was so impactful to you that it actually changed your perspective of what it meant to be given a gift?
It's good.
Whew.
It's good.
Oh,
That is good.
so I had to really absorb that one for a second. So I like where you went, E, in terms of uh, children,
Yeah.
because, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful manner to anyone that's given me um, a material gift, but when you talk about children, it just changed the perspective. One of my very very close friends, long before I even had the notion of having children, he made a comment that it just always stuck with me for some reason. He said, if you're there when your children are born, there's no way you'll ever like not be there for them. And he
Wow.
said it, and he tends to be someone who I think is someone that's always a very deep thinker. And he said that years and years before I had children. But it dawned on me the day I'm in the the I guess you call it the operating room or what have you, and I've got these two little kids, and this recognition that, like, I'm it. And what was, and to the point, I think that Johnny, both you and CT mentioned about context. I think context is so important, especially in a society these days where, to your earlier comment, it's hard to answer a question because it's almost like people want the whole thing in the first sentence, and I think that life is deeper than that. But for me, to provide context, it was 2009, and the company that I was working for at the time was going through bankruptcy. I'm living out west, which, shocker, is very expensive. And so this notion of living in a high cost living place, working for a company that's going out of business, and I'm a new father, was incredibly scary for me. And to arguably probably the most scary thing I've ever experienced, I think, to date. But just this realization that once these two kids are here, that that this is it. Like, no matter what, you will do whatever you need to do, and I mean whatever, to be able to provide for them. Because, and this goes back to your earlier question, E, because they are a gift.
Okay. All
It
right.
just puts it in perspective. So I think and I think for anyone that's either a father or someone that's close to someone that is a father, or you play the role of maybe that uncle that's like a father, you kind of get it, that like no matter what, you're gonna do whatever you got to do to provide for them, because you recognize the responsibility, I guess, that comes with that gift. So, you know,
Now,
my kids,
now,
my heart.
I'm gonna let you guys chime in, but I want to also just point out that I love your answer because you didn't choose a gift that was materialistic. You didn't choose a gift that was about you. You chose a gift that was about you serving someone else and providing for someone else and nurturing someone else in a way that only you could do, right? And I think sometimes we're a little lost in what a gift is by definition, where you can't. Some people don't see giving anything of themselves as being a gift, and I love that you talked about it that way. CT, I'm gonna come back to you.
No, we're in an interesting vein right now. I think GP. I figure we just go here with it, right? So, we in some of our conversations, we lean into our beliefs, we lean into our faith, and there is a biblical text that would say it is more blessed to give than to receive. And sometimes I think we get it messed up that we don't fully appreciate and understand what it means to give. I love the context of serving as a backdrop here, but sometimes GP, you know what I'm saying? We give and we give and we give and we give. I was on two calls last week, and one of them was in person, and I promise you, each one of those conversations, it was in a coaching context. They were talking about how much they gave to everybody else and how what they had given wasn't being returned to them. So they were looking for reciprocity, if you will, in their giving. Like break down a little bit. Like it may be more blessed to give than receive, but sometimes we got to reset how we give and what it is we're giving for. Because if it's misappropriated, it might mess up, and we might think we're supposed to be receiving something for what we gave. Are we? Aren't we? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that in that perspective specifically,
Mm-hmm.
if I am giving and giving and giving, I'm not actually asking the person that I'm giving to give to me as much as that I know something has to give, because you can only give so much before you have to either give to yourself or you've given all that you have, and you cannot continue to give in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You all asked, no surprise, some very thoughtful questions, and I'm 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 just processing. So I think I think two responses came to mind. The first is more of an analogy, which is, if a person is hydrated, they really ask for water. So if a person's hydrated, they really ask for water. And what I mean by that is that sometimes, and this is an interesting situation, that people, in my experience, some of the people that tend to be the most genuine at giving usually end up with a reservoir that's empty. And it's totally, it would make sense that when you're feeling that your reservoir is empty and you're feeling fatigued, this notion and desire of, okay, it would be great for someone to give to me. It'd be great to have that feeling that I, hope to give to others. And I think that's something that's very important. And I think that because many people that tend to be good at giving are not good at asking for help or saying, hey, I need, because their happiness, to your point, CT, is so based off of giving, and it ends up being this vicious cycle that tends to leave people burned out with challenges to their health, and it's challenging. And so, to your point about where you referenced Acts 20 verse 35 earlier, I think there's a cross section between that and being a cheerful giver, because I think sometimes it can be hard to kind of reconcile both. Like, how can you be a cheerful giver and at the same time, because you gain happiness from, right? And I really think that that's the opportunity. And I it's something that fascinates me. It is not something that I would say that I am an expert at. I'm learning.
I'm processing all. Yeah. You saw me. I'm processing all of that too, because I do recognize in some people that I'm really close with that giving is their love language. They're in service to the people that they care about the most. And sometimes that burden, it becomes it feels like almost like a burden because it weighs on you. And GP, you said that word fatigue. It really does weigh on you. So I think it's important. Maybe this is a question or statement, I don't know, but I think it's important to recognize when you reach that point, to be able to reach out for help, and to wherever that help may come from. But it's hard to sometimes see it because you're so used to giving, and then you show up in spaces where you're kind of like snippy with people, or you're tired, or you're isolated. That's what I do. I isolate. I don't talk to anyone, and folks are like, "Where you been?" I'm like, "You won't see me for a minute, right?" So I don't know. I think it's important, and I think especially since I'm in a room full of men right now, I think it's often males have that tendency to do that. Is not kind of like just either not reaching out for help. You know what I mean? Or not
Yeah,
asking for that help, and it shows up in different ways, and it's like, yo, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's a statement or a question or whatever it is, but I know that giving so much of yourself can sometimes weigh on you. And it's important to recognize when you've reached that point. I don't know how to do it. I don't know when you're supposed to do it, but I do think that it is important. And sometimes I think it doesn't mean that you're going to stop giving, because that's who you are, right? That's how you show up. That's how you love. But what do you do?
I think it's understanding your thresholds, right? Like, it's understanding. And GP, I think you kind of mentioned something similar to this, where it's like understanding where your reservoir is running low, right? And then knowing how to recharge. But I also equated to like understanding like the percentage of battery power you have, right? Like
Yeah.
I know you can feel it, right? Like, so if it's a frustration or annoyance that you keep giving, and you're not getting something, it's most likely something that's turning up every time you give too. If we look at it from like a functional thing, the first time you gave, it didn't bother you, and then the more and more you gave, the more and more something increased in you that made you feel some type of way. Well, there had to be some levels that you could feel that you were shifting in that, to be able to address yourself first, to say, why am I starting to feel this way? And question, is it because I'm not getting something? Or am I expecting something? Or is there a line that I should have drawn in giving to say that I could only give X and I shouldn't give anything else because now I'm depleting myself? But understanding that in yourself is self-observation and practice that I don't think a lot of people do. Like, I don't think you have it in nature to do, and I don't think a lot of people show you how to do that, because it's not something that people admit that they do. It's not even unless we know each other well enough to have those conversations, to be like, yeah, I only gave GP 20% of what I said I really have. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't go around doing that. You know, we just say I gave them something, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. I get that.
I get that.
I think we live in a society today where I think we perhaps unintentionally expect perfection from people.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to them or to us. And what's even more interesting to me is that if there's any period of time that it's really difficult to even remotely be perfect, it's the one that we're in now. So I think I think about that. So because to me that what you are talking about, I think at the heart of it is something that's just deeply profound, because we expect a lot of people.
Yep.
And then at the same time, I'll put it to you this way. My mother said something to me years and years ago when I was going through a really, really difficult trial. And she made a comment to me. It was funny when she said it, because it was almost, sometimes your parents get to a certain level of frustration with you, but they say it in a really loving way, but the impact is still there. And her comment to me was, it's about loving others as you've loved yourself. And do you love yourself?
There it is.
And when you're
Oh.
and when
There it
you're
is.
when you're if you're fortunate enough to have a parent that genuinely cares about you, when they say something like that, it hits different.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I think about, because I think far too often, and look, again, I go back to, I'm on this learning journey. I'm not even remotely sitting here saying that I've conquered these things. I'd say I'm a better bad. I'm a better bad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, just
Yeah.
speaking truthfully. But I think at the heart of it, like, that's what I hear. Like, I'm a process guy, so I tend to like work backwards. It's like, okay, well, if in a healthy way I loved myself, loved myself, etc.
Yeah.
Well, what would that first of all look like? I would prioritize time. Like CT alluded to it a little bit earlier, right? Like, looking back, that is probably the most precious resource, because I can't get it back. Like, if I take a L when it comes to something financial, there's lots of factors I can lean on to help me get it back. If it's a material item, you name it. But I can't get last Thursday back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, I also can't control next Thursday. So removing myself from those anxieties of that, and respecting time and the here and now, I think is really important. I mean, to me, those are some of the things that I think, if those things are collectively in check, um, they help to manage the reservoir, to your point, E. And those are things that I guess stick out to me when thinking about setting up a foundation where you can give without regrets. And I think that's what we oftentimes face. It's like, if you're someone who's giving, this notion of, I mean, it's very freeing when you give without the expectation that, I'd almost say it differently, giving knowing that you are likely not going to get back at the
There you
same
go.
level. Like, that's very freeing. Then it's genuinely about, I'm doing this is because this is what, I've been inspired to do. This is what it is that makes me happy. If someone does something, to use a point you mentioned earlier about reciprocity, wow, that's phenomenal for them, that they got the opportunity to feel a notion of what I feel when I'm inspired to be able to give, right? And it's very freeing. But I go back to, it's a lot easier, I think, to have that, or say it differently. For me, I've been able to do that and have that state of mind when I'm better at ensuring that my reservoir is being managed well. To your point, Johnny, I'm the exact opposite when I'm knowing that I'm feeling resentful, about something or about someone, and not feeling that level of reciprocity. I know that that my balance is off. And more
Yeah.
often than not, it's the people that are in my corner that are either telling me I'm off, or have been trying to tell me for a while that I'm off,
Yeah.
and I haven't
Yeah.
listened. Instead, I give, thinking that the give is gonna, get, and that
Yeah.
recipe just really, at least for me, it really works.
I
That
I
is
love the call out for us, right? This idea, and E, my mind is going back to I can't remember what episode it was about like Sprite versus water. Right is what coming to my mind right now, and then in the context of
Yes.
what feeds you, and are you making sure that you're
Yep.
fueling yourself in a way that feeds you because you are always working to feed someone else in the context of what we've been talking about even in the last month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
GP, I think this is something that, like, as we even think about the title of our conversation today on the screen, I want to lean into the executive that you are, because
Yes.
sometimes what I think we have been told is that to grow, to be mobile, to maneuver, I've got to give everything that I can to the noun, the place that I'm at, the person I'm working for, etc. And oftentimes that depletes you. And so when you think about like leadership, right, and how you leave a legacy of leadership, it truly is more than having a seat at the table, because maybe the table that you're sitting at, to talking to us last month, there's some stuff we shouldn't be eating. And so if you at the wrong table and they're feeding sweets and you ain't supposed to be eating sweets because you diabetic and you wondering why you having health problems on your job, I'm just saying. So when we think about like what kind of like perspective or advice as you think from the leadership seat, you might give to somebody who's listening, it's just like, man, I want to be at the table. Like, and you've been giving and you've been giving and you've been giving and the return isn't there. Like what might you throw out to somebody, as they think about, the value of this moment for them as they leave this year, move into a new year, and they working on the performance reviews and all the things. I'm like, I gave this to the place and I gave this to my boss and I gave this, and the return isn't there. How would you talk to them?
Yeah, me and a mentee were having this conversation, a similar conversation last week, because to your point, you're right, CT. Like this time of year, we tend to, we're wrapping up things for the current year and preparing for the next year. Then the conversation I had with one of my mentees is a conversation that I've been having a lot with myself, which is I think there's the opportunity to kind of take 5 steps back. And the seed that kind of started this one was a leader that all of us are familiar with, at least on this call are familiar with, once said something to the effect about the position that they have is like 10% of who they are, which was fascinating to me because this particular leader was in a role that I think many people would at some point aspire to. So when you think about perspective, here's a leader that's in a spot that many people would aspire to, but that leader is saying that that particular spot is roughly only 10% of who they are. It gave me pause. And so much so where when I think about, to your point around giving, and when I think about the joy I get from being able to work with people um, that find some level of value in advice and guidance, I take it very seriously. And so my conversations with them are I'm trying to get them to think much broader than a job or their career or particular position. So when they're doing things like, where do I want to be at 3 to 5 years from now? The conversation tends to be more about what do you want your life to look like, and then we'll begin to hone in on how does a career help to enable that. Because um, this would have been 10 years ago when I was living in Seattle and I was working a lot of like really crazy hours and hyper ambitious and just making a ton of sacrifices. And my father, who is arguably my biggest hero in life, he sent me this gift to put on my desk in my office that said, "Don't confuse having a career with having a life." And context is deep because when you get a gift like that from someone who you've seen kind of grow through the evolution and phases of life, it hits different. And so for me, I think so often we tend to get so myopic in terms of, okay, I want to be at this particular spot in this particular job, it's a particular place, doing this particular thing, instead of saying, to your point about legacy, like what's the kind of life I want to live. And I think I learned that lesson like way, way too late and way too hard. And so to me, it's so much bigger than you know, you know, how you get to the table. The reality is that that part is not as hard as I think people make it out to be. It's the what do you have to do to actually get there, and what do you have to do to actually stay there. and is it ultimately worth it to you when you think about how does it fit in the context of what you want your life to look like? That to me
Yeah.
is, I think, the harder question that many of us don't tend to think about. Like, what's the kind of
Yeah.
life? To your point around legacy,
Yeah.
That's good.
I think that's
That's so
way more
good.
important than I think because the getting to the table piece, it might sound disingenuous, and I apologize if it does, but that part is not as challenging. In fact, in many ways, one might consider it a bit more linear.
That's so good. I was laughing because some of the advice that you shared with your mentee sounds exactly like some of the advice that CT has shared with me over the years. Like, no wonder y'all close. Y'all right on the same
We keep each
page.
other in check.
Yes,
I'm so grateful. I'm so
I can
grateful to have
tell.
CT as a friend.
Oh, oh, that's priceless, man. And there's having a true friendship is just so priceless. There's nothing better than that. So all through this season, we've been talking about generations. And so
Yes.
even as you were talking, GP, just now, you were talking about like, well, what is your life? What do you want your life to look like? It made me think about my daughter. So my oldest is graduating from high school this year. She didn't get into, yes, she didn't get into her dream school, but she's got into some other HBCUs that we're really proud of and excited about it. And but she was devastated when she didn't get into this. And I kind of had that same kind of conversation with her, just like, well, look, that this one school does not define your life. Like you're going to have so many other opportunities. You just start thinking about what you want your life to look like, right? And then start moving towards that. And you're 18. It's going to change so many different ways, like so many different ways. But I think it's important to have at least an idea, at least a goal for now that you are working towards. So you're not just out here just, randomly just moving through the world, but you have some type of intention behind it. So that's one thing. But I also wanted to ask you too, GP, like over these years that you've been in leadership, how have you seen leadership change over this? Because we're talking about giving and leadership, and I'm like, 20 years ago, that probably wouldn't have been the same conversation. So, how have you seen that change over the years? And then what's even more advice that you would share with folks that are heading into those leadership roles that may be that may just be starting off their careers and just things like that.
So, one, congratulations to you, Johnny, because
Thank
it's
you.
really cool
Yeah.
when you've known people for a while and you've seen the journey that they've taken as parents, and you're seeing the manifestation and success with their children.
Thank you.
Like, congratulations. And
Thank you. So
I'm
proud.
smiling. I'm smiling because, look, for your daughter, like, she's gonna make the school's not gonna make her.
Yes, thank
So
you. Yeah, that's it.
it's I'm looking forward to it. I know gonna be amazing stories, from
Yes,
her.
yes.
um yeah, I guess to answer that part of your question, people have so much going on in their lives right now. When you're in a position, I think, to lead people, and when I think about some of like the troubling thoughts I have a lot in terms of like where I feel like I haven't, shown up the best, or where I could do more, or where I could have said that differently or done that differently, or just a variety of things. I think anyone that's been in a leadership role would probably echo that. People have so much going on in their lives right now that what it means to be a leader these days, I think, is so much different than maybe what it looked like 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You've got to, and especially if, to your earlier comment, you want to operate in a manner where you're not sacrificing what's important to you in terms of people with the agendas of the businesses that you're fortunate to lead, which can be a very difficult balance to lead. And that's why I go back to this question around what do you want your life to look like, because one of the things I've learned in my journey is that there are certain roles that I thought that I might have aspired to, but
Mm.
they didn't coalesce in terms of what I wanted to do in terms of my life. And more often than not, I found it out posthumously versus
Mm,
thinking about it from more of a practical perspective.
yeah.
Like, I can't show up the way that I want to be able to show up if I take on, this particular opportunity. I can't be the kind of person that I want to be, holistically, if
Yeah.
I do that. So therefore, I don't want to be able to disservice to people, that I'm fortunate enough to lead, because leading, it just requires so much. Like, for example, And I think we've all seen it, right? Where we've worked for leaders where you know when someone genuinely cares about you and when they don't. You know when someone genuinely understands that, you know, fill in the blank. You've got this issue going on in terms of your family, or you've got this issue going on with your health or neighborhood or whatever that looks like. You can tell really quick the leader that actually resonates with versus the leader that's strictly about, listen, like how does that fit in with what needs to get done in terms of the objectives of the business, and that can be hard. So to me, I go back to knowing the level of responsibility, knowing the number of hats you have to wear, especially in today's environment.
Yeah.
To be a leader, you got to be really centered in on what do you want your life to look like. And so there's people I think about in the past that have said to me that I saw so much potential in. They said, you know what, I'm not interested in a leadership role. And I remember years ago, I was befuddled by that. Like, why? I mean, you got this ability. There's the
Yeah.
money on the table, and I realized just how narrow minded I was because they got it and I didn't.
Yeah.
They understood
Oh,
that
that's
here's
good.
the life they wanted to live, and
Yeah.
that was super important to them, and everything else was. So to me, I'll be that just that, you know, boring record on repeat on that one. That if you get centered on that, some of this other stuff that we tend to obsess about, it genuinely does work itself out because your filters are like, nope, 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 nope.
Yep. Yep. And I asked that question about people starting their careers, but really, I think that's for all a good reminder for all of us as we continue to grow in whatever aspect of life. Like just to kind of look through it through that lens. Like, how is this going to shape the life that I want to live? How is it going to impact the people that I care about the most? And if it's not serving that, then it's like, then maybe it's not worth it. You know? So I think that's good. It's really good. Very good.
I was leaving space for you, E. I was leaving some space for you, baby.
Hey, look, CT, I could go for a while, and like I got crazy questions. Like, what's your favorite whiskey? Like, I got Scotch questions.
Let him talk. Let him talk.
Yeah, let's hear him. I want to hear
no. Scotch E that CT so calls me sometimes is not always available for the podcast. He's not allowed to be on here. He would get us all in trouble. He would ask questions and we're asking for advice for the wrong things. Like, I don't want it.
Season 4. You need to let that one out.
Hey, look, I'm just saying I am going to need an episode. Matter of fact, no, actually, I have a segment that I'm going to probably work on. It's going to be a dating segment where I'm going to call in a special guest. We're going to talk in. I got a co-host for that special segment. Because I'm the single one, right? Everybody else got somebody, so I should be able to have that. Like, right? No, yeah, okay, cool. But no, I do want to say it. I do want to say and like just kind of make sure that we get to have this kind of round robin because we did just experience Thanksgiving. We are in the giving season. There is the more traditional giving holiday still to come where we're going to be going out of our way to show love and appreciation for each other. I would be remiss if I didn't ask all of the children inside of all of you about your favorite gift growing up. And I think CT, I remember you had an action figure or something. I'm just playing. And Johnny, it was something about a sled, and then you got your tongue stuck on a pole. I think there was a story there. There was that.
Were you Santa Claus? What are you?
I've looked at my list, man, and y'all was on the naughty a couple times.
I'm an angel. Not me.
Okay, so the dramatic pause for all the audio listeners, all of our faces, not everybody's, just mine was frozen. But no, I want to ask Johnny, what was one of the toys that you remember or a gift that you remember growing up that you're, as a kid?
Yeah. Oh man. I had a feeling that this was going to come up. This is kind of hard. I can't think of one in particular, but I will say this. I had an amazing childhood. I've talked about this before. I had an amazing childhood. I was surrounded by family. Everywhere I look, it was family. But it was a tradition that we would open up gifts at home, and then we would go to my paternal grandfather's house and then get gifts and then go to my maternal grandparents' house. And they would give us money for skating, but because she had too many grandkids, so she just stopped. She would give us skating money and go about your business. But my paternal grandfather, Grandpa Douglas, he gave the best gifts because he would start shopping in like September, October. He would be done by then. He would have been done by now. And, like Macy's and Lazarus and all the, those things that was really, really cool. Like, yeah, that's where he bought all the gifts from. So whether it was just clothes, it was toys, whatever it was, you guarantee Grandpa Douglas gave the best gifts and he made the best marble cake. So whatever Grandpa Douglas gave, name the year, whatever he gave, it was the best.
Plus the cake. All right. So Grandpa Douglas's gifts plus the cake. I just want you to know, shout out to all of the lovely grandfathers and grandpas and uncles and everybody that hooked everybody up and had cake, because that means you got your gift and your cake and ate it too. Okay. All right. CT, I'm gonna come to you. What's a childhood gift that you recall? Now, I remember you used to get like no gifts, but like there was some gifts, right?
But do you recall? No, I was listening to your question, and I'm trying to give an answer that I can remember, like because Christmas wasn't the priority, wasn't giving gifts at Christmas, so it is difficult to.
Well, it ain't got to be Christmas. It's a childhood gift, something. Yeah, we can expand it.
Listen, I was a sports kid, so anytime, like the thing that pops in my head is like a new footballs, right? Because I was a receiver, like I got my skills early, and I always had a football or a tennis ball or something in my hand, and I was tossing it around. I used to get in trouble too because I would be tossing against the fireplace or something just because I was working on my hand-eye coordination. And it was just
you were that kid.
Yes, I was that kid, but it made me good later, right? And so I think I'd like to pivot the question such to say the thing that I love most about giving is the ability to give. And so it has always been very difficult for me to say this is the gift I want. Even earlier, Mel was like, "Hey, what's on your wish list?" I'm like, some new sweaters, right? Like it's really it's really tough, right? And so I am one of the hardest people in the world to buy for, because I've not always prioritized what it means for me to receive. And because I haven't prioritized what it means for me to receive, because I've over indexed on the idea that I just want to give, that the maturity of this moment is like, no, what is it that you want? What is it that when someone asks you a question, I think I shared this a couple weeks ago, but someone said at the beginning of this entrepreneurial space for me, he said, the biggest challenge that you have, Christopher, the biggest opportunity you have is that you don't know how to ask. The very best, most successful people in the world, they ask for things. And he said, you don't. And because I'd had a block on feeling like I was worthy enough to receive a thing, my job was to give. And for me to even think that I would be in a position where someone could say, well, what do you want? Dang, that's a great question. No, it's not. It should be pretty easy. And so some of the work for me right now is just being able to know that, wait a minute, there's something I can ask for with an expectation that it is not just me who is the giver. I am also the receiver of the thing. So not to go too deep on the question you ask, E, but it really is, as I think about my height, as I grew up, how I am evolving into this next best version of who I not just am, but who I am. It is this idea that no, it is a good thing. I am blessed because I give, but I'm also blessed because I am open to receive.
Okay. So your favorite gift was the gift of giving. I love that. I love it. And that is so you.
It's
because you would get the water over the Sprite every time. And I'm so proud of you. And now you have your friend E, the ALC, that you can say, hey, can I have some Sprite? And I'm like, yes, here's your Sprite. So get used to asking, okay? Get used to asking.
Yes,
I got you.
That's
right. You got to ask coming this week. Get your pocketbooks out. I'm saying.
For real.
Don't ask for that then. All right, GP. This guy, GP. What about you? What's a gift? I mean, outside. I know we talked about your children, but what's a gift as a child you remember?
You know, it's interesting. I kind of want to tag into what CT said because it really spoke to me. Because
Okay.
I go back to the earlier comment. I'm grateful for a lot of the childhood gifts I got because I'm very, very grateful that my parents were very generous and very giving. I mean, I think for me, it's more about the feeling than the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So I'll give you an example of what I mean. So as a kid, my dad had a job where he traveled a lot. But what he would do is he would get a gift from wherever he was traveling out on business, and he would leave it on my bed.
Nice.
And he was so consistent at how he would do that that it wasn't so much even about the thing, it was the feeling and the anticipation.
That's good.
And this notion of, and especially as I got older, it's this notion of like I feel prioritized. Like he was on a business trip, but yeah, with everything else going on, like, I became very aware of the amount of pressures that my dad had as a leader, especially since, you know, leaders that look like us had it really hard back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And so this notion that he thought enough about me to get me something that was likely unique, more often than not it was the feeling. So I mean, can I tell you, oh, I remember when I was 11 and he got me this particular thing? I can't remember, but what I can absolutely remember is the feeling. And I think that resonates with me even today. Like there aren't many, very similar to CT. I'm not someone that's easy to shop for because there isn't really anything that I want in terms of like, is there something that I want that I can't like get for myself? If that
Right.
makes sound kind of
Yeah.
weird, but
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of wants per se. There's a couple things that I tend to like, and they tend to revolve around four wheels because I'm a car guy.
Yeah, you are.
But other than that, there's a lot that I want. But
Okay.
the feeling of, wow, you got me something that you had to really sit down and think about, and you thought that it would resonate, and you created it. Like those are the kind of things that, at least for me, they resonate because they reflect a level of thought.
Yeah.
That to me is when they say the thought, it's the thought that counts. That's always meant something to me.
Okay. So your favorite gift is the feeling that you get from being thought about. So
100%. Because think
so,
about it, E. I mean,
yeah.
there's so much that competes with people's time.
Yeah.
Like think about the amount of times. Like one of the things that always has troubled me is this notion that I want to do something for someone and then I allow 30 other things to get in the way, and then next thing I know, it's a week later. Like that just torments
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So knowing how busy people are when a person actually took the time just because they know how it would make you feel. So for me, 100% of the time, it's the feel, not the thing.
That's beautiful. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll go ahead and answer since everybody's so like nice and everything. I guess I'll be selfish and be like, you know, my favorite gift was that Stretch Armstrong. That's right. That Stretch Armstrong doll that you could pull and twist. And actually, it wasn't. I hated that thing. It stank because like I ain't like rubber toys. And you remember like they had the wrestling guys that was rubber and stuff. And I didn't like. There was a lot of toys I didn't like. So yeah, nope, I didn't have a favorite gift. I'm just playing. No, I was, you know, being in all seriousness, like my favorite gift always was the gift of being together with my family, because it was so funny. Like we had so many memories of just clowning each other because my family we are gut punch family, right? You will sit there at a family function and get riffed on and be like, did they really just talk about me like that? You're like, because we love you, right? Yeah. You're like, the way you spoke about me does not make it seem like you love me. Oh, we said it before anybody else in the world will get to say it to you because we love you.
Man, I would love to observe one of y'all cookouts, man.
Listen, yes.
No, listen,
I feel like that would be epic, man.
Listen. Matter of fact, hey, look, I might have to invite all y'all to the family reunion because just these moments, like when my mom was on the show, you could already see how it started. When we went on our little road trip, the whole Tudor biscuit, Italy, all of that. Like it starts off as like it's gonna be a normal, like Griswold vacation, right? Like, and you heard me say Griswold because it is every single time is National Lampoons. Every single time, everything is funny. Every unique part of my family is a joy. When we come together, it is all treasure, and I just literally sit back and laugh and enjoy every moment of it, and I revel in it because that is the gift of, like, you know, having my family. Because my family experienced a tragedy, you know, about 20-something years ago, where we weren't a family anymore. Everybody literally went their own way, and to have these moments where we still come together for Thanksgiving, like, that's important. And you know, me and my little sister get to laugh about morbid things. Oh, 163 out there, you know what I'm saying? Like, we get to, you know, have our own little fun. And Johnny is still laughing, but we get to have our own little fun.
Yeah.
But that is the gift, right? Because without those people, without those connections, without those experiences, me personally, I wouldn't have anything to pour out to anybody else. So I am made whole every time I'm around people that I get to be myself with, and they fill me up. Like, this conversation fills me up, and then I get to go out in the world and just go be who I am. Yeah. And I know a lot of times that you guys see me in that way, because like y'all my people, like y'all in the inner circle, where y'all know, like, oh, I see how E moves, like that. I'm always trying to get that good energy around me and to everybody else, and that is where I go get steeped in it, right? Like, I am just sitting in that energy of fun, joy. We make fun of we make fun of each other's tattoos. Like, it'd be the craziest stuff that people will say when we all sit around each other. You'd be like, did you just say that? And it'd be like, yes. And my mama would be right in the middle of it. So it'd be like, her nickname is her nickname is Jumper Cables. And CT, I kind of gave you that nickname earlier this season because she always starting stuff. Yeah, because that's why we call her that. But it's a beautiful thing to be in that type of embrace and that type of family.
Don't make me pull it out. Like, we've been good. We've been good for the last couple of weeks.
I didn't say anything. I'm done. I was done. That was my answer. Okay, so I'm off the hook. Am I good?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Don't get him started, E.
I mean,
don't get him started. We're coming to the end of the show.
Why did you little sister the moment Johnny was like, don't get him started, please?
Because it's a true moment. Like, that's literally what's about to happen. I got it all led up to be like, well, what would grandma do?
And see, this is not I need my sound for this year. I need going into next year. I need a sound.
Cam, go ahead and play the song that you want to play for CT's intro. I'll just play. He gonna put it in post record.
No, Johnny, this is what I'm talking about. This is why we not free. So as we do,
he was ready.
You did that, E. You did that. Grandma.
No, actually,
Grandma is not pleased. Let's just be real clear about this moment.
This is why we ain't
Sorry, GP, you had to see us like this. We're gonna take, as we would say in some environments, let's take this offline.
I don't want no problems, man. I don't want no trouble. I don't want no trouble.
We're gonna take this one offline. We're gonna circle back on this one.
Double down.
Okay, so friends, GP, since you've seen the show before, you are familiar that every time we get together, at least on some segments, what grandma might show up with something to say. So season 3, she would say, sit up in your chair and listen up. And grandma wants to keep it short and sweet today, but she says, if you want to make sure that you understand how you could care less about the seat that you're in but how you lead with the legacy of leadership. She would say you must understand legacy. That is our word for the show. The word is legacy. So grandma would say first, if you really want to understand how to lead through legacy, you first must understand how to lead with love. There's a songwriter that says, love isn't love until you give it away. And so you won't fully appreciate and understand the power of the legacy that you can have in anybody's life unless you learn how to love. Not just you, not just me, but everybody. Legacy is built when you can know how to love you and to know how to love somebody that you don't want to love, so that what you are leaving them with is something that they can now be a part of their legacy. And she said the legacy doesn't really stop with love. You must understand that you have to encourage, empower everybody. It wasn't just about empowering, but it's also about encouraging. And when you encourage and empower others, you do find that we are, as they say, hashtag better together. So when love and encouragement and empowerment work together, you exercise this idea that you now know, Johnny, what it means to give generously. That is your G. When you are giving generously of the abundant things that you have because you're loving properly, it is much easier to encourage and empower everybody else, because what you are giving isn't from a deficit, but it's from the generosity of things that you have already baked inside of you. You are overflowing, and the overflow allows you now to give to others. That's what legacy begins to mean. Now, what's important is that there is something that you have to do, and that is to act, both with great intention, because you understand the impact of the intention that you've given, because you are now in a place of generosity because you gave in the right way. You know how you gave in the right way, E? It's because you recognize that you were encouraging and empowering others. Why? Because you were full of love. Now, when legacy really begins to come together, you have to understand that the C is the thing, and not just me, but the C is the thing that really makes it work. And that is your ability to connect with and through this really beautiful word called compassion. Your ability to understand that somebody is going through something. And because you know everybody's going through something, because you are going through something, when you connect with them, do it in a compassionate way. Because you understand when you do that, the act of being intentional and impactful came out of that generous place that you had inside of you, because there was an abundance of love. Why? Because you chose to empower and engage with others. Now, let's be real clear. We do this today, E, because we acknowledge that the why in legacy is the most important. And that is yesterday is what? Can I get yesterday back? You said something about time earlier, right? I can't get yesterday back. So I might as well not focus on yesterday and recognize that today and being present in today ensures that the connections that I make through it in a compassionate way remind me that the intention and impact of what I'm doing is the action needed and necessary, because I'm being generous. The generosity comes out of this place. It's because I understand that I'm supposed to encourage you, G. I'm supposed to empower you, Johnny. I'm supposed to encourage and empower you, E. And I can do all of that because I know how to love. So if today, friends, you want to get the legacy right, make sure your tank is full. Get out of yesterday. Come in today and know that your legacy of love that's empowering and impacting others, because you're generous, because you gave. You gave what? Good intention and impact. And that good intention and impact came with connection through compassion. Thank you, Grandma. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Grandma. Thank you. Thank you so much, Grandma. We love the legacy.
For you, back a couple of seasons ago, you got real inspired by alliteration, right? And so I did a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, just to make sure I inspired you.
I mean, you know that I'm all about the alliteration. You know what I'm saying? I love it. So I want you to continue to reiterate the alliterations as much as you can. Okay, that's what you do. Okay. So I mean, with that said, you know, I always love to be able to reiterate this thing. Johnny, what you got?
Oh, there goes the record scratch.
There it is. I need my own sound. That's it. Going on. I need my own sound.
We're working on it.
Oh man, today has been such a great conversation. As we are in this season of giving, I think it's really important for us to remember our why. Do y'all Did y'all ever see the movie Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith some years ago? Good movie, right? And so for those of us who may not have watched it, we know that he played this gentleman by the name of Christopher Gardner. He was homeless for a period of time until he reached a certain level of success. Okay. Throughout the movie, he had his son with him. And I remember this interview that the real Christopher Gardner and his son did on Oprah. And I forget what the question was, but his son's response was like, you know what? Honestly, I don't even really remember being homeless. I just remember being with my dad every day. I just remember that my dad picked me up from school every day and then I spent time with him.
Yeah.
So I know now that I'm an adult and looking back, it was hard for him, but I don't even remember that. You just asked us all a question about what was our favorite gift growing up. And I don't think this was just because we were trying to be deep or trying to be a certain way. We genuinely really couldn't remember a specific gift, right? GP says it was the feeling. And I think that really captured what we were talking about, really, for all of us. Is that feeling that we got from either knowing that someone gave us something or just spending time with our families. So as we're in this season of giving, I want us to all kind of remember that. One, because I think as parents, we spend a lot of time thinking about the perfect gift, spending a lot of money. Some of us go into debt that we're paying off for years later, just trying to please or trying to live up to a certain standard, when really it is about that time. And don't get me wrong, like gifts are cool. I've never shied away from saying, I want a gift and I want it wrapped underneath the present. Okay. I mean, underneath the tree. Okay. I want to actually, just in case Terry's listening, I definitely want a gift. Don't like shy away. Like, I just want time. No, I want a gift. But is it worth like going into debt over? I don't think so. Right. Just remembering our why, our conversations. GP talks so much about the people. Right. And he loves to see other people succeed and do their thing. I was watching my daughter this week and interacting with kids. She has this passion for kids that's continuing to grow. And I love to see that. So just remember why we're giving, that passion behind it, the people that matter, the thing that matters. Things are cool, but I think the why is what's really, really important. So let's just try to stay focused on that, because that will remind us to be grateful when we're giving so much and we're exhausted and we may become a little resentful. Remember that why. When we want to spend all the money we have and really maybe it's not worth it, just remember that why. Let's go back to that. And I think that can keep our heads a little straighter as we enter into this hectic season.
Okay. All right, John. Got to do the clicks for Johnny. All right. Johnny got gems. All right. So your message from your AOC this week is going to be pretty straightforward, as the message from the AOC typically is. When it comes to giving, I think we touched on it. You know, don't give what you can't give. Just as simple. Like if you're going to be worried about what you're giving, you probably shouldn't be giving it. If you're worried about getting something back for what you're giving, you probably shouldn't give it. If you're giving your last and you're going to be worried about something at the end of the day, then it's probably not something you should give. The assessment of giving is important as well. You have to assess what you can give. If you don't do that, how are you measuring? I'll give you the chef's example. I have a 1 pound bag of sugar, and something that I requires half a pound of sugar. Something Johnny requires 3/4 a pound bag of sugar. Can I give Johnny the sugar she needs and still have what I need? No, I can't. Now, what I could do is offer Johnny half a pound of sugar, because that's what I have left. Then Johnny may need to go get that other 1/4 of a pound of that sugar to make up what she needs. But again, I had to make sure I had the half pound for me, so that way my sugar could actually work for what I needed it for. Again, it's simple sometimes, but I think in the spirit of giving, we give thinking with our feelings and giving with all of these hopes and anticipations. And GP, you laid it out perfectly with these expectations that other people are supposed to meet because we are giving. If you're going through all of that and you having to think that hard, don't give. Don't give, okay? Because I don't think that giving requires a lot of thought, right? My friend reached out to me and people reach out to me and ask for stuff, if I can give it, I just give it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. If I can't, I just say no. Because if I got to think about it, then I probably can't give it, right? Now, if it requires thought, that's not the same thing. If giving requires thought versus having to think about it, I'm not saying that's the same thing. I'm saying that if you got to worry about next week and the dog got this and the cat is this and the baby got this and all of this is going on and somebody's asked you for something, I don't think you should give. And that's the message from your AOC. So
come on,
you know, I didn't want to be anti-giving, but you know, we got to set that bar. There got to be a level. It got to be a level, right? Where we're not just letting people off the hook. Like, don't show up for Christmas with I have everybody's gifts, and then before tax season you struggling. You like, I bought you Christmas gifts. Hey, ain't nobody asked for them daggone gifts, okay?
Everybody's all right. Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Don't you dare bring up that you actually brought tinsel to Tinseltown. I don't care. You brought it. Nobody asked for it. I'm just saying. Santa didn't ask for them stale cookies. Y'all put them out, okay? Just saying.
Oh, why gotta be stale?
Because some people be putting out stale cookies. Okay, now I do have a part-time job as Santa Claus in the wintertime, so I'm just telling y'all, stop putting out them stale cookies. So with that, I am happy.
That felt personal. That felt real personal.
It did.
I ain't playing because, like, you know, you can lose teeth over these little hard cookies that people be putting out. Okay, fresh baked, soft batch. You know what I'm saying? Keep that good. You know what I'm saying? Keep the good sugar cookies there. Ginger snaps are welcome. None of them hard truffle cookies. Just because there's milk out, guys, you leave the milk out too long, Santa can get sick. Okay, you got to keep that in mind. Like, nobody wants that super left out milk if you got fruit flies and gnats and bugs. Like, we don't want that either. I'm just saying, some people's house is not set up for giving.
I'm
just saying.
You get both. Cousin twins is coming back out. Cousin twins is coming out. How did we get there? Like, we were
because I'm just saying some people's house is not set up for giving. I'm just playing. I'm just pulling
everybody out. About the fruit flies and everything else.
It's gonna be easy.
Right, I'm just saying, like, if you got any of those things, don't give Santa no cookies. You're not in a position to give.
Listen, let's just be real clear about this.
Skip to it. Like, all right, listen, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go off. We can pick up right here where I just started. We don't have to continue none of that. This is the best part of editing because we can take all the other part out. All right, so
no edits allowed.
Yeah. So I do want to wrap up the show, and I do want to get some final thoughts. And I'm going to come to you first, GP. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so much for adding to the platform. Your voice just rings so clearly. The perspective that you provide was just wonderful. So I just want to get any final thoughts for our viewers, for the guests, on giving, as well as just any messages you want to leave with anybody.
So really three things. One, again, thank you all for the opportunity to be in the conversation today. I really appreciate it. Like I said, we first started, I admire the three of you all, and I want to just really give a shout out to all three of you, because in life, when you see people that are just individually great at who they are and what they do, you don't oftentimes see them being able to share their greatness together to benefit for other people. And you all do that so harmoniously. And so I just really give a special shout out to the three of you all and wish you all just continued success, because you're helping a lot of people, probably even more than you all realize, self included. So thank you all for doing what you're doing. I guess the final thought is really inspired by a lot of what you all said. And it's just, I've been processing this thought as you all have been talking. You know, we talk a lot about what it looks like for us to give. And CT talked about it quite a bit in terms of what it feels like to receive. And the thing that I have really appreciated from this conversation as I reflect about life is that sometimes unintentionally we don't allow people, sometimes some of the people that are the closest to us, to give the best way they know how to. Our expectations are here. Their abilities are here. And you touched upon it in your dialogue, E. And those kinds of things can sometimes lead to resentments that we may not even know about. And so when I think about people, some of the people that are like the closest to me in my life who have tried to be giving to the best of their ability, and I couldn't allow myself to receive that. And I think about, to your point, CT, I can't go back in time, but when I think about like the here and now and what can I do better in to the point around giving, because that's an opportunity to allow other people that want to give to be able to experience that feeling of what it feels like to be able to give the best that they've got. So um, that's something that I hope that all of us, especially myself, can reflect upon and put into action. And so again, thank you all for using your platform to do something that I think so many people will be able to benefit from, like today. So again, props to the three of you all.
Thank you, GP. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, you're welcome back. We'll have a more heated conversation
Only
in the
if only if
sports.
y'all play that Michigan Fight song again, because for y'all to do something like that, I know that there's a lot of courage on this one.
Yeah, our engineer is a Michigan fan, so he's wearing a Michigan hat.
Good man.
He's not shy about it. Him and CT go at it all the time, and I think the good thing is that we actually skipped over that conversation today. So, CT, you got any final thoughts? Of course, I'm asking you that right now as I set you up.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Which arms?
It looks like he got an attitude.
Clearly, there was some mistake happened somewhere. But let me honor the moment and just do final thoughts, and we can take this offline. So, GP, all love, bro. You know how I feel about you. You know that you are the guy, and I'm grateful that you gave of your time, your expertise, and your experience. And I think the only thing I wish is that we had more time, right? Because this is a finite period of time. You can only extract so much. And so one of the things I'd love as a part of my final thoughts to extract a little bit of something that you said that I think is super, super important. Maya Angelou said, people will forget what you did. They will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Absolutely.
And the ability to understand that, to have somebody like you in my life who gives me all the feels, right? So I know that sometimes I need to be checked, and sometimes I need encouragement, and sometimes I just need somebody to listen. And oftentimes what we do is that we take out loans rather than just giving. And oftentimes the relationship loan that you take out requires that you have to repay it. And then you've lost sight of the fact that sometimes it is just that person's ability to be present and them to be able to give you what they have rather than you asking to borrow something from them. And I'm grateful that in our relationship, I don't have to borrow a thing from you. Freely, I give freely. And that's when both of our cups are now filled so that we can go be whatever it is that we're supposed to be in the world. So, man, I appreciate you being here. Grateful for our relationship, our connection. And listen, I don't hold against you what you and Cam have in common. Listen, sometimes there are mistakes that are made in life, and that's okay. Everybody has their own thing. And because I'm unfazed, because you have that with him means that, you know, there's grace for the inadequacies and inconsistencies.
We try to warn you every single time. We try to warn you every single time. CT, you know you can't mess with the off-screen producer. This is what happens.
We could go all night. I am unfazed by the.
No, you are phased. He will block you again.
There is no love in these streets.
None. You see this?
There's
Look at him.
Mute, unmute. You push your button, I press my button. Look, what we doing? Just let it happen. Let it happen. Just let it happen. This is not on me. This is on the man behind the scenes. And friends,
so hold on real quick.
Family, recognize what's going on right now. Come on, camera, Cam. Come on. Come on, camera.
It's okay. You may continue with your final thoughts outside of the preferences.
Shout out to Cam. What Cam is doing, the production on the reel. Shout out to Cam. This is world class.
Cam.
Yeah.
This is a family show.
Not anymore. You just told everybody to Santa. Now you getting ready to.
What I do, Johnny? Did I do something wrong? You told me not. You told me to let Mayhem come out. Mayhem has been in a box. He's been closed off. He's been limited. He's been silent. And yet tonight he has shown himself to be true.
I don't even.
What is going on? He's out of control.
That's my final thoughts. I feel my final thoughts were final. They should be final.
Hold on. Johnny, did you give your final thoughts? Because now I'm lost on.
She's not.
Yeah, I didn't feel like you did because like GP had the wonderful final thoughts. He set us up. Then we let CT have final thoughts. He went into Mayhem. So okay, thank you to know that your final thoughts are about
the colors of.
It's fine. I'm not about to acknowledge it.
Right.
So no, I didn't hear that. It doesn't matter. We're gonna because he'll keep playing that song, and he has the right to.
I don't care.
I know you don't. I mean, he will change your background on you and all of those things. You need to be careful.
Look
again.
He will put up a picture for you.
I am a 3 seasons. How many? I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Okay.
I'm ready for
all right.
it. He's gonna do something in the edit room, so I might as well act a fool now, right? Because GP, what you got to recognize is the man behind the scenes he's a dirty player, right? He's a dirty player because he can do all the stuff behind the scenes to make us look and be whoever we want to. And then E is going to play neutral. Johnny's going to play nice, and yet I'm the only one that's going to.
I'm not playing neutral because I don't have any. I'm not playing neutral. My team is the Tennessee Volunteers, and they didn't play, so I'm good. Yeah, and you know why? Because everybody should root for a Volunteer. It's a safe bet. So I'm gonna go ahead and move into Johnny's last thoughts.
I don't even know no more, y'all. I don't even know. I'll keep it very simple and just say thank you to GP. When I first joined this podcast, I often said, like, these are the conversations I would have with these two individuals anyway. And the same thing goes for today. Like, I just enjoy having a conversation with you, GP. I always walk away enlightened, feeling like I know a little bit more, a little bit clearer. And so I appreciate you saying yes and joining us today, brother. And I just hope you come back.
You're right back, Johnny. Thank you so much to all of y'all. Man, thank you.
All right. So my final thoughts are, as always, make sure that you are liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, doing all those things and getting us out there. We need those 5 stars. We need the algorithm to be algorithm with us. You know what I'm saying? Riding with us. See what I'm saying? We're trying to get there. If you are not subscribed, you haven't turned on that notification bell, then please do so because we're trying to get over X amount of subscribers. Now, we may start giving out giveaways and things like that, depending on how people react. We're working on some what would grandma say, what would grandma do t-shirts, as well as Johnny What You Got t-shirts where I'm just screaming, Johnny What You Got, right? And then she will have a t-shirt on there with gems. And we're looking at merchandising and stuff. As always, we're looking for sponsors. We're also looking to expand anywhere that we can and work together more to build community because, again, we are motivation. That is what we are. We are the EMM crew, and we are here to make that happen. So with that, everything is wrapped up. I think you can just chill until the next episode. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Peace, y'all.
Appreciate you, GP.